Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Warm welcome once again, and I'm delighted to be moderating this session, which is on family business and legacy. I'd like to welcome on my own Piruz Khambatta, Vineet Agarwal, and Shiv Siddhant Kaul, who are the panelists. They will have to do the heavy lifting for the session, but just as the role of a moderator, I need to say a few words. Well, as we all know, when businesses transition through generations, there are many dynamics at play. First of all, there is the dynamic of time. Something that was relevant 50 years ago, 100 years ago, may not be relevant today. Then there is the dynamics of family. There are different members of the family that come in. A patriarch who starts has a certain dominating influence. It becomes more and more democratic. Aspirations of different members of the family at times are at variance. Some of them perhaps want to pursue other interests, and therefore, if there is one big behemoth, how do you allocate resources? And of course, finally, it is the ever-changing dynamics of markets, of the economy, of obsolescence, technology, and the rest of it. So how do we navigate this, and to help us in understanding how we transition from one generation to the other, retain the essence of the core family legacy, and yet innovate? So, as they say, the only thing that is constant is change. And how do you embrace change which retains the legacy and yet is nimble enough to adapt to the changing times? So we have with us Piruz, who has transformed his business that was founded by his grandfather, who sold soda from bullock carts. And it was further improved by his father, who sold flavored concentrates. And this has been modernized, rebranded, and expanded into the Rasna brand, which is a household name today. Vineet was in the trucking business, his family, and he has now modernized it into a multi-modal logistics corporation with a big focus on supply chain management. Siddhant, of course, comes from a long legacy of the Nicco Group, who was in various engineering products and is innovating, diversifying. They set up the Nicco Park, famous in Kolkata, and how he is taking the legacy forward. So this is really the three, I would say, second, third generation leaders of family businesses trying to give us a peek on what makes the ingredients of a successful transition from the old to the new. So with this, I would request each of the panelists to speak one after the other. I'll call out the names. And after that, we can have some questions, some from the floor, and some, of course, I will also pose to all of you. So Piruz, if I may start with you, you can speak from there.
Thank you, Harsh. You just said, give me the ingredients of success, and I thought you want the formula, which I can't give you. The core of any good soft drink business is a very guarded formula. A lot of people talk about something in the colas and something in... But the truth is, it is there. And luckily for me, because I started quite young in the lab, I had the formula, I reinvented formula, it is all here. And I think when you ask me one of the ingredients of success of any family business, in our business, one of the success is this very guardedly, secretly guarded formula, which we have not only inherited, but we have improved as we go. Because the second part, which is very important, is that today there is nothing like past legacy or what my grandfather did. If I continue that, I'll stay one more hour if you ask me. Forget one more day. And you mentioned the challenges, biggest challenges are of the startups today. These are young boys coming out of colleges and they work out better products. So we have to, if you ask me, have the agility of a startup. We need to have a mindset which probably of an entrepreneur, which my grandfather had. And we need to have the systems and the infrastructure as the MNCs have. And if we have all this, we succeed. And for us in Rasna, every day is a new day. Every day is of a day of challenge. Every day we think as a startup. Number two, which after the formula and the flavors, which we are very, very keen to do, is ensure that our product offerings meet the customers' requirements of tomorrow. And I am very proud to say that Rasna has been one of the foremost companies in the concentrate sphere to launch the most innovative products the world has seen. To give you an example, in post-COVID, we launched a world's first 100% natural powder concentrate with fruit, no preservatives, 1/3 sugar with stevia inside, without any flavors, only fruit concentrates, and of course the essential oils, without any colors, only natural colors, which also were synthesized by us in our labs, which is also a challenge. And today we are the Tesla of the category. There is nobody else in the world in this. And in many markets, we are the leaders in this category. Similarly, when there was the whole hue and cry about sugar in malted beverages, we were the first people to take the lead of launching Honey Vita, which is a honey powder in a malt beverage. So the consumer can get, let us say, the goodness of sweetness of honey, the sort of strength of malt, and of course the vitamins, once again unique in the category. Then everybody knows Ghar Ka Nimbu Pani, Aam Panna, our various offerings in terms of value for money. So I believe that one of the core strengths is that we think like that as startup and are very innovative, very quick off the block, bringing the products, new products. Third is the brand. Of course, we have been custodians of the brand, ensuring that the brand dynamics are such that it appeals to the mothers of today and the children of today. A lot of people tell me, Mr. Khambatta, you are a pony in the little Rasna girl. Where is it? I said, of course, the pony has to go because we have to aspire for the new generation girl and she doesn't want the pony. So we have to remove the pony. And for the same sense as the mother. So, of course, our ads are changing and our latest ad campaign, which is running now, is with Tamanna Bhatia. And Tamanna Bhatia is talking of the magic of Rasna, which is not only the vitamins and the ingredients in Rasna like the fruit and the glucose, but also love. Because Tamanna says, Rasna mein jo ek cheez hai, kisi mein nahi hai, wo hai vitamin love. That campaign is on. Thank you, AIMA, for giving me the opportunity to talk about that also. And then we come to a very important part, which I would like to tell you, that the fact that we always ensure that Rasna is a global brand. In fact, as soon as I joined the company, I was the first one to pick up my bag and go abroad and stay there for a long time, because I always believed in the India story abroad. And in my various interactions with the government and all, I have always been a proponent of Make in India before Make in India in this current form was born, 20 years back. And I did believe that India's story is not India growth in India, but what Indian companies like Rasna can do in the world. And today with that, we are today lucky to be the largest soft drink concentrate manufacturer in the world. Around 12 factories across India, selling in all the places in the world. And this we were able to achieve, I'll tell you how, by ensuring that our product is very competitive. I today make the most value for money concentrate in the world. And not only that, we ensure that in marketing terms, thank you. In marketing terms, we always have advertising and marketing for this country. So this is what we do. Maybe in the question answer session, you can later ask me more about the global things. But last is, which is what I'm a big proponent of in the last few years, and which I think we practice. Today, gone are the days that entrepreneurs could say we are just entrepreneurs and we will ensure that we become good companies. Today, every entrepreneur has to be a nation builder. We have to walk with the government, with civil society. We have to be with them and ensure that India grows. I don't think today we can have the luxury of saying, "Humne tax bhar diya, somebody else is to develop the country." No. Tumne tax bhara hai, but what more you can do? To be. And that is the reason why companies like us, we are working with foundations, trusts, associations. We can't be sitting and saying, do this. We have to be part of the story. And I do believe that as a company, we are doing that. For example, we are Atmanirbhar Bharat. We are ourselves ensuring that we make all the products in-house. So while our competitors take products from abroad, import, we make it in India. Much before COVID and much before Atmanirbhar Bharat. Number two, as I said, make for the world. Number three, inclusive growth, ensuring that the farmer gets the benefit. We work with categories like honey. We ensure that the farmers produce, we buy. We give him probably double the price than probably our competitors do. And most important, we know that Rasna is the drink of the country. So 1 rupee, 2 rupee, 5 rupee product price points, we have not touched for 20 years. A lot of people tell me how you can do it. I say because I have no merchant banker, no public, no finance bank to tell me. I am fully 100% owned by myself. I can do what I want. So no price increases. And I have not reduced my glass to half. Same 200 ml, 2 rupees. So I think this is what I do believe, that we are the drink of India. For us to give a good soft drink at a good price is also part of our DNA. And of course, through our trust and foundation, we are part of many education exercises, many NGOs, many other things which possibly you can see from what we are doing. And also working closely with the government in various schemes of the government. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Piruz. Vineet, over to you.
Thank you, Harsh. So, I am third generation in the family. My grandfather started the business in 1958, so a little more than 65 years now. He started the business as, we're into the logistics side of the logistics business, and he started off as one man, one office, and one truck. And in that journey, since now, we've now moved 2.5% of India's GDP by value of cargo every year. This is a combination of multimodal logistics and doing a lot of other related logistics products and services that were actually not known even 2 or 3 decades ago. So if the key success factors, if I have to recount what are those, I think the first and the most important thing is value systems. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. This is a famous line by Peter Drucker, and it's absolutely true because we've seen it in our organization for the last decades. It's the culture of the organization, the value system that one has created, which lasts. Our culture value system is denoted by something that we call CORE, C-O-R-E, which is customer focus, ownership, responsiveness, and empathy. And this is what has guided us in the last several decades to be at where we are in terms of forefront. Which means that there are certain policies that we have in, for example, in HR policies are very, from the outside seems very tough, but from inside it is people who have adopted it have found it to be very, very useful. We have one of the lowest attrition in the industry at 10%. We have the highest employee satisfaction rate in not just in our industry, but amongst all industries. This was a study done by Korn Ferry. And again, we attribute it back to the value system. And I think we have taken some harsh decisions in the past, but we have not ever compromised on these systems. The second is, I think, very critically looking at what the customer wants. I think Mr. Khambatta also mentioned this specifically, but understanding specific needs of the customer is very critical. And doing that is not possible by looking at reports, by looking at talking to consultants only, but more importantly, to be on the ground, to be at the field, to understand what they want really. So when I joined the business almost 30 years ago, I did not have a table and a chair for 6 months because I was asked to go to every single place possible. I was traveling 25 days in a month. Thank God I wasn't married that time. But it was a phenomenal experience. It was a phenomenal learning experience that when you're meeting customer on the ground, when you're seeing and understanding what they are saying, you are able to develop an appreciation of their business and then build on that to build services and products that they will need at that time and for the future. So when I joined the business, we were doing just basic trucking. Subsequently, we launched an express company, a supply chain company. We formed 3 joint ventures, all because we could identify very, very simplified needs of the customer. And amazingly, in the logistics business, we could see that it is very, very differentiated. So customer focus is the aspect that has also driven growth. And the third and most important thing also is how we look at the people development and the trust that you have for people. In our organization, for example, we do not, there are no strategic decisions that, all the strategic decisions are taken by an executive council, and all the day-to-day decisions are taken by the respective business heads. We have, in the last 30 years, the family has not signed a single check in the company or even authorized any payment, because it's a trust that we created. Of course, these trusts are followed with checks and balances, but it's moving away from that culture in a family business to a professionally run family business. I think there are clear-cut differentiation between family businesses and professionally run family businesses. And that's what we are aiming to and trying to get there slowly. Thanks.
Thanks, Vineet. Thank you. Siddhant.
I think the word I'd like to focus on initially is the idea and concept of legacy, because it's really very loaded in many dimensions. So the first and foremost thing is the legacy from the perspective of being brought up in a business family. And frankly, the way I was brought up was not as being part of a business family, but it was being brought up as, in a way, in a professional family, where the idea was that the only thing that you are really entitled to is the love of your parents, the love of the family, and a commitment to learning, commitment to being yourself. So I think that is a legacy which I really treasure and prize. And frankly, I had no interest for the first, I would say, 30 years of my life of being in the family business. I never really imagined that I would be a part of it till, maybe 1 or 2 years before I moved back to join the business. So in that sense, I would also say that joining a family business can have many paths, many ways. And it's not immediately clear at every stage what the true impact of that legacy is. Once I joined the business, the idea of legacy, and it's strange because the traditional route in Indian family businesses is that you join or work while you're in college, and you kind of get trained in a multi-role at every level in the organization. And I think that's a great way of doing it. For whatever reason, that was not the path that I was on. And I had this strange sense of coming in, at a senior level, which is in some sense coming in as an outsider in many ways. So the idea of legacy then switches from the legacy of seeing what has been built while you were out. And I think that was also for me a very fascinating way, because you get a sense of what the culture of a place is, you get a sense of how that links with the value systems that you had growing up in the household. And in many ways, in my case at least, it was very closely linked. Moving on in the organization, the idea is, how do you interpret and make that legacy something of your own? And I think that's in many ways a continuous process. It's a process which requires constant work. So you don't become part of the legacy becomes you, and you transform that legacy to make it your own. And that's the third part of the legacy journey, is making that legacy your own. And some things are new, some things are the same, but it's very much an expression of your individuality, of the uniqueness of your particular family. And that's really what puts the family in the business. I would say for many reasons, all family businesses are tremendously dependent on professionals, tremendously dependent on outside leadership, outside management. But what makes it a family business, and all of us on the panel have referred to that, is that system of deep-rooted ownership, of deep-rooted care, and of deep-rooted responsibility. And that is what separates a long legacy family business from something that is, a first generation business or a new business or a business that's removed from the family legacy. I think the best known family business, which is the Tata Group in India, there's a very strong sense of legacy and culture that's there, not just, in the family, but at every employee level. And I think that's the idea of legacy with which we should strive to run a family business. The next question that was there in one of the thinking points, I think, is the idea of how do you really prevent yourself from destroying a company in the third, fourth generation. This is something that studies have pointed out. In the context of India, I think what India has done differently is that we've tried to professionalize the legacy giving. We've tried to professionalize the way that children are brought up. And the sense of unique Indianness in having a responsibility not to your family, but to the extended family of the company, ensures that many people feel very strongly about every stakeholder, whether it's unionized workforce, whether it's a transitory CEO, whether it's a junior level executive. The idea is that you have to empower and co-opt, and you have to be talking to everyone. It's very easy to get kind of buttonholed into your own office. The moment you only listen to one section of your stakeholders, you start running a process by which you can destroy very easily the legacy that has been built in. Because family businesses started out as an entrepreneur-driven organization where the entrepreneur or the founder spoke to everyone in the organization. It was a very flat hierarchy. As we corporatize, professionalize, essential bureaucracy and those processes creep in. It's unavoidable. It's part of being in a professional organization. But the family part of it, I think, especially in Indian context, it's to our advantage and part of the legacy to actually break those bureaucracies at your level and listen to everyone at every stakeholder. So whether you're walking a factory floor, whether you're speaking to your field level marketing people, that's basic practice that is required to keep yourself grounded. And that brings me to the third point I'd like to make, is you need to be always honest to yourself. And that's where the family part really helps in, whether it's, your parents, your siblings, your spouse, your children. And you need to stay true to yourself and not get caught up in the trappings of being in control. In India, unfortunately, the culture is of flattery. Everyone is there to flatter you, but at the heart of every flattery is the risk of being deceived. And don't give in to that deception. That, again, is extremely dangerous. So being honest to yourself, being true to yourself, being clear-headed about what you have done and what the team has done, what the organization has done despite you, what the organization has done because of you. These are things that you need clarity on at every stage of your journey in a family business. So I'll stop there and we can continue.
Thank you. Thank you, Siddhant. So let's dive a little deeper, and we have spoken about things which are positives, I think, in all the three experiences. But I think the biggest teacher is a negative event or a challenging event which we have not been able to overcome. We overcome, then it becomes a positive. But when we don't overcome, it leaves behind a lesson. If I could request all of you to sort of go back in memory lane and figure out that one event in your life that didn't work out and what you learned from it. And the second question, diving deeper into this, is that in family businesses, particularly if you are the third generation, which most of you are here, you have many competing siblings, you have other members, not all of them either equally interested or equally maybe competent to do the job, but yet there is aspiration, there is distribution of wealth, and all of them create their own dynamics and complications. And how have each one of you navigated that? Whoever has faced it, maybe somebody didn't have that challenge, but whoever has faced it. So I don't have an order of preference, whoever is ready can go.
The second question is easy. I was one son, two sisters, not interested. So to create competition, I have 4 children. 2 boys, 2 girls. And as of now, all are interested. So I told them that is good. The winner would be the one who goes ahead. And in Parsis, we don't have that problem. Parsis, there is a problem of nobody there. Sometimes when big families talk, coming on this on the lighter part. On the first part, actually, if you ask me, the biggest learning we had is that it's better to stick to what we know to do. And honestly, it is not true that I have not tried, and I'm very, I don't mind talking about it, because it's always a learning. A lot of people say, with Piruz, you have to diversify into things. So for example, 2-3 years back, we made an app. Probably the only knowledge I got is what is app business, what is computer, how it works, but total flop. But I can say, yes, I learned. But I'm very happy that I learned, because now I know how it works, all this e-com and all that. Number 2, similarly, we got into some real estate type of business. Once again, I don't have any knowledge. Probably others have. Real estate is about managing not the land, but the government, which I was a total flop. So, because we Parsis, we can't do that, because we are straight. We call I have to call a spade, so that never works. So it was a total flop, so gone. Third, finance business. I thought I was very good at my own finance, multiplying. So I thought I'll take finance and make finance, but then I found out that there is 2 different things. When you have your own finance and you are putting it, is very different than you take somebody else's money and put it. So once again, super flawed. So after all these things, what I really decided is it's better, at least my best life, and I intend to concentrate on what I know. And that also concentrate on one thing which I learned we do very well is to ensure that we give mass products out. And I'm very lucky Rasna is in that space, because it is not true today in this country that only the cars sell, only the supercars sell. If you ask me, the cycles and the scooters sell much more. It is not true that the country, Bombay and Delhi, are the poorest. What really is in the small towns. And this year, for example, I made it a point not to meet the super talkies in the main towns. I'm getting people from small hinterlands to come to the cities, going to smaller centers, smaller cities, and meeting them, knowing what they want, and reshaping our products for the real India, which is this masses. And we think we do that very well. So I think this is what we have learned. Do what you know and concentrate on mass. And I thought that the mass is only in India, but no. Last 4 years, our whole export story is the Africa story. Africa is a bigger mass. And there we have launched not 1, 4, 5 products of that types. In fact, with high flavors, high colors. In fact, I won't drink it myself. They like it that. We sort of reoriented those products. And my God, they're flying. So I think this is where I think we are concentrating on, being a mass brand and taking it to the world.
So a specific challenge around the time that when I joined the company was already 35, 40 years old. So there was obviously a lot of legacy that was still there and built up, and it was a single business. And there were a lot of people that were even there from my grandfather's generation that were working in the family, in the business. And around the same time, we had a larger family separation. So there was a lot of, I would say, just protect what was there attitude, and some of the older guys were there saying that, I know it all. What will this young boy who's just come from, and that too, I came from the US. I did my undergrad in the US and came back. What will he do? And then around that time, and a specific example is around emails. So emails got introduced around 96, 95, 96. I think VSNL had its had its lines, and you could dial in, and so nobody was willing to accept it. They said, we will still write letters. And once the emails, so I stopped sending from my father's office. I told them that do not send any message now on telex or fax or any written communication, send via email. And let's see how people respond. So what people were doing was they were printing all the emails out and writing those letters on top of those emails and then sending it back. So bringing around that cultural change of acceptability to new technologies was very painful. The fact that there was we sometimes overestimate legacy. So we have to moderate that and not lose respect. I think that's the other thing, because all the people who were there had contributed to the company's growth, and to treat them fairly, to treat them warmly was my prerogative. So that is something that we ensured, that I did not lose that respect for any single person who was serving at that time. In terms of managing siblings, etc., I think all family businesses have those challenges. What we have done in the last decade or so, we've created family structures, we have a family constitution, and that drives us. That is something that is ensuring that there is harmony.
Thank you.
So, just the only thing I would add here is the idea in terms of making mistakes is the difficult thing of being in a family business is to try and separate emotion from rationality. So there was, I remember my class 10 maths teacher used to always say, when doing math, be rational, not emotional. And I think the same approach taking to issues of, say, control versus shareholding, or of going back, reversing decisions, or leaving, emotions out of it when doing a deal, not doing a deal, investing funds, not accepting funds, not accepting funds, whether PE, strategic, etc. Those are decisions where I think you need consensus, but you need to have a strong sense of rationality and stay away from the emotion of having built it and stayed on. So that's difficult. I think it's very easy to get it wrong, and perhaps that's one kind of mistake which really is what we need to learn from.
Thank you. So we can open it up for some questions from the floor. Yes, please. Yes, can someone take a mic, please? Is a mic coming? Yeah, you are audible.
Question is to anyone. I'm S.K. Goel from Noida Management Association, member of AIMA also. What is more easier to hold on to your legacy, or like we are seeing today, many startups are coming, minting money and selling off their businesses. What is more profitable, to hold on to your legacy business or to sell off? Thank you.
So I'll take that question because on this I did a whole session, and that I titled the session "Startups are End-ups," because they start and they end. And unfortunately for the country, the startups are not adding value also. If they do two things, they station themselves abroad to get the benefits, so they work from some tax-free jurisdiction. And number two, if they sell off to a bigger MNC, then who learns all the Indian ways and controls the country. And I can tell you from examples of how this has happened, and actually India has lost. So the real India story of startup has to be, startups is forever and eternity. And startups, I personally believe, and some capacities, as I said, we have a finance vertical also. We do meet startups. They want money. They always talk of what I call cash outs. I said, no, bhaiya, nahi. You give me a plan how we are going to grow. And somehow, I ideally believe if you need money also, get into a public listing, get money from that view. And this is something which I believe we have to inculcate in startups. Second, a lot of startups, let me tell you, are taking the wrong ways also to make quick money because of what you said. Because there's a huge, what I call drive, get profitability, because they are funded. And sometimes that is not right, because compliance is ensuring that we are on the right side of the law is also equally important as much as making money. So you're absolutely correct, and that's why in some forum I have suggested there has to be a charter, like there is a charter for corporate governance which we all have. And when I was in CII, I've actually worked out a charter and we made people sign it. Similarly, there has to be a charter for startups also. And of course, it can't be law, but at least the people who are supporting startups with finance and all should ensure that the people they support, the startups, adhere to that charter. In my mind, that is the way out. Because all said and done, the startups are funded by people like us only first when they start. So let us ensure that this charter is there, and let us teach them that of course they are very good at technology, they are very good at entrepreneurship, but let us also teach them there is value in longevity. And I think here the family businesses with legacy, we have much to share with them also.
I think just to add to that, if we have survived 65 plus years, we are the original startups. We started as a startup, right? I mean, one man, one office, one truck. And every few years, we had to reinvent ourselves. If we did not reinvent ourselves, we would not survive. So I think family businesses are startups by themselves at all points in time. The second is a philosophy. Is a philosophy around build to sell or build to last. If the philosophy is build to last, then clearly you're doing something else, and it's built to sell. So I don't have anything against startups. I think it's their philosophy, and each one is to their own wish.
I'll take a slightly contrary view and say that you need to decide on a case-to-case basis. I don't think you need to pigeonhole yourself that I'm going to build and stay forever, or I'm going to build a company and exit. It's a question of circumstance, and this is where you need to separate emotion from rationality and decide what's best for you given your particular circumstances. Many people are serial entrepreneurs by nature. They want to build something, sell it, start something else. Many people are more interested in building for legacy and for a multi-generation framework. You need to do what's right for you in your particular circumstance, and don't have a notion that I want to build for a legacy, that's the only way. Sometimes selling is the smart move.
Thank you. Another important point, just one question I'll take before. So one more point that I think, again, diving deeper is that when we look at legacy, we also look at certain things that we want to retain and certain things we need to change with time. And sometimes the companies become unrecognizable from what they started, and sometimes they retain some very, very essential elements of it. How do we, or how do each one of you look at this, that we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, when we are changing ourselves with changing times, we retain some of the essential qualities that made us what we are, and yet we change. Anyone would like to?
No, I did mention, see, there are certain elements, I'm not talking of the brand because Rasna is seen more as a brand.
As a philosophy,
And,
not as
but
a,
I'm just coming to it.
Yeah.
So behind the brand, when we look at it, many times we are tempted to do things which are not as per our brand's DNA. But I've been very conscious to ensure that the way we use the brand, the way we put the brand, we don't throw the baby out of the water, but ensure that the brand follows what I call a brand architecture, a brand ethos, which we have. Similarly, the company also, we know what we have to follow. And you are absolutely correct that we cannot be in the name of change harming the core of what the organization or what the brand stands for. And I think Rasna has been a proponent of that. That's why if you see, across all Indian brands, in any categories, there is not a single Indian brand today other than possibly owned by a cooperative or a government, which is the market leader in its category for 3 decades, except Rasna. And in my category, there are all multinationals of the world have come from 91. When liberalization started, some came to me and also said, Mr. Khambatta, sell off. I said, no, bhai, thank you. And many people told me, bhai, what will happen? All food processing will be taken over. Nothing has happened, at least for me. And we have grown. And in fact, 2 or 3 MNCs had to walk away after coming to India because of us. And we are competing with them abroad also, with market share. So I think this shows that when we have a strategy, what I have, and I still believe, and tell me, that what is important now is forget the past, forget the legacy, is to grow for 47. I agree with our Prime Minister's vision. India should be the most developed country. And for that, each one of us in this room has a role. He as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, as a part of civil society. And I think my role is very clear. How do we ensure that Indian brands are among the topmost brands in the world, as today we see foreign brands are? And that's where I see India, honestly. And we have to work and strive for it. That's what I do.